Control. So now let's take a look at today's wine list. We have red wines. That's for when you're angry and mad and you're whining and that expressions. And we have white wines. You know, that's your wimpy times when you just can't really get with it, but you really still have to whine. And then there's pink wines, you know, in between for everything else that's wrong with you. And for today, our most popular red wine is, why is this happening to me? And then we have, nothing good ever happens to me. And then there's always, but I can't. And white wines are, for the most popular one is, I'm bored. And it's followed closely by, oh, do I have to? And our next white wine is, I only need a little of your attention. And if that doesn't work, you can always use the gesture wine. And then there's always the passive-aggressive version that says, can't you see I want all of your attention? And finally, our top pink or blushing wine is, and our final wine selection is, I'm sorry, I was whining, but do I have all of your attention now? And going with what you mentioned Nebraska, and that reminded me of my youth where I grew up. So I learned the definition early. Do you know what a basement full of Nebraska farmers is called? A wine cellar.
You know, every Sunday I basically say the same thing. I just imagine coming at it from a different direction. Because we're always talking about there's one power and one presence, God the good. And that you are nothing but that one power and that one presence. And we have free will. And so in the world where we can play ourselves out as anything, it's so easy to get lost that we spend our time trying to find who we are and trying to find our way. So today I hope that the seeds that you will take away are to remember that we're always under the influence. And I want to reflect back to you that you are an amazing group of people. There is a sweetness here, would you say? Yes? There's something sweet about this community. You find it in many of the individuals, but you feel it when you walk in the front door. That this is a community that is truly under the influence of being about the business of God, of being able to hold that space of love and light and healing, of doing everything that everyone can, individually and collectively, to be that clear channel of love, of peace, of joy. And I just want to say thank you for creating a healing container for me. And to tell you that I have such anticipation brewing, and I'm never attached to how it plays out, but such anticipation brewing about so much more to be revealed. And so our opportunity, I truly believe, is to realize that we do get to choose what is influencing us every day, every minute. Is it love, peace, and joy? Is it thoughts of connectedness and life and goodness? Or do we fall into those places where we whine and we get tripped up over ourselves? And that's okay, that's part of being human, but we don't have to get stuck there. So we have this little song to help these get into your psyche as you can take them through the week. Love is leading me on. Love is leading me on. Do the mood track. Here and now I get over myself.
Peace is flowing in me. Peace is flowing in me. Whatever may come, whatever may go, peace is flowing in me. Back to love. Love is leading me on. Sing it out. Love is leading me on. Here and now, get over myself, and love is leading me on.
Love is all that God is. And when we move ourselves into the place of love, we readjust our awareness, because we're never outside of God, but we can act and think we are. So when we move ourselves into that space of love, we're now present and available to be under the influence of love. When I can move my own state of being into a more peaceful state, I'm now under the influence of peace. And at the same time, I become an influence of peace. And when I do my self-work to find out what's blocking my joy, I can then use that as a stepping stone to move myself so that I'm once again under the influence of joy. And now I become this powerful lighthouse of joy. Not because I'm trying to be joy, but because I'm seeking to be influenced by joy. When the scripture says, choose you this day whom you will serve. To serve is to subject yourself to the influence of. Together individually and collectively. We imagine that if there's any cords or anything that is binding or hindering us, we use our imagination and just cut it loose. And it can be that simple. And now what I choose to serve is God, the grand overall designer. To be under the influence of God as love, and God as peace, and God as joy. So I invite you to make space for that in your own life, in this space of silence. And we realize that the silence is not the absence of. It's shifting our awareness to become aware of the presence of. This influencing presence of love, of joy, of peace. We give thanks for this special day where we celebrate and play together. And together we be and are under the influence of God.